Welcome to another exciting episode of I Write. That's right. And of course, we have episode 15 coming up right now. So stay tuned.
Previously on I Write.
So Evan, he just up and walked out of the hospital without even being given the all clear from the doctors.
Evan, I only came to collect the rest of my stuff. I'll be out of your hair soon enough.
But Louise, you don't have to.
You told me that we should separate.
What's your tone? Remember who is in arrest.
That is exactly why I'm here.
What?
Yes, I am here to say no more. I am tired of paying you for that stupid mistake I made so many years ago.
That was our little agreement for me not to put your backside in jail.
But look who's stupid all those years. Cynthia is a big woman already with grandchildren, and I still paid Washma for all those years ago.
You don't mind being seen with me?
Why would I? We are friends and we are safe.
That's what you think. You don't know how some people are ignorant.
What them police doing in my home? That a lady too must be calling police on me. I haven't touched her. I haven't touched her yet. In my own house? You just rich and you want to bring police? A kind 10 people trying to run me out of my own home? Just so? I see you. One officer standing there, the other one must be inside. Now, Futa, you're too there. Good evening.
Good evening. With what did he hit you? Tell me.
That was a long time ago, Owen. I told you it was nothing.
But he did hit you, Cynthia. And your wound is taking very long to heal. I can tell you it will only get worse. And especially, you need to do something about it. Report it now. The other officer is outside. If you don't want to tell me, you can tell him.
Yes. My eye got burst when his hand landed, but it was not his fault.
What do you mean it was not his fault? Did you take his hand and make him hit you?
No.
Cynthia.
I was the one who got him upset.
Cynthia.
But we are working on it now. We're in counseling.
That nasty zombie has given me a heart attack and go and call police for me? What?
Lincoln.
Yeah. She was expecting me to hit her, so she could do that to me. I only told her I want her out of my house. Is that a crime? Huh? She's a grown freaking woman. Her mother can't give her thought out anymore.
Man.
I did not lay a hand on her. She's a liar.
We are not here because of Eve. Lincoln.
Huh?
Yeah, understand that.
So why are you in my house?
It's okay, Annie. It's okay. It's just a courtesy call.
Courtesy? What? Since when?
Well, the neighbors had some issue and they called the police.
What issue?
Some drunk fella beat up his wife earlier and he sent her to the hospital.
Well, it can't be me. I was not there. You all see me just rich.
Well, Lincoln, you are too far from him, eh?
What you mean?
Lincoln, sir, look at your wife's face.
Huh?
No, look at it.
But,
I'm sorry, Lincoln. I told him we were okay, and he made me tell him about what happened.
but wait, he made you? Now,
hold it right there, Lincoln. Hold it right there.
Why do? Huh? And we're supposed to be partners, huh? All this time, You pretending to be gay to get into my white panties?
What stupidness you talking about there now? Man, Lincoln, you demented, you know that.
What?
Look at Cynthia's face. You did this to her. Look at her. You cannot even face your own actions now. It's not going to heal anytime soon either. I think her cheekbone is broken. Yeah, you broke your wife's face.
Yeah, really?
Have you been to a doctor yet, Cynthia?
Oh, no.
Wait,
Come on, Sissy.
Wait a minute.
What?
Casa, when? I thought we were partners. Man, that is what you do to me?
What you talking about, man?
You trying to arrest me for you to have my wife? Boss, man. So, I was there in the hospital. Is that what you were trying?
How, Lincoln, how? When I heard about your episode and that you were down, man, I went to the hospital to check on you.
What you?
But you were not there. Your wife and Eve were there, so I gave them a ride home. Come on.
And that I hear the two still, eh?
Watch it, Lincoln, man. But how you leave the hospital without even getting the all clear?
When? I don't want that in my house.
Lincoln, she is the one who saved your life.
Who?
Eve.
She who? How?
Yes, Daddy. I gave you CPR and mouth to mouth. And poof! You revived just before the paramedics arrived.
Oh, shit!
You okay, Link?
So, what make you feel I'm not okay? You didn't hear what she said? She put her mouth on mine?
So what? She's your daughter.
I don't know where her mouth reaching.
No one knows. Your mouth may have probably gotten to worse places.
Woman!
Stop, Lincoln. Stop.
You better leave, Owen. You better leave.
No, Lincoln. Owen stays.
Ashton, you have to at least try to go to your classes more regularly. CSEC is close and you are way behind in your studies.
But Mary, I got 60% pass overall. And plus I topped the whole class.
But that's not enough.
How you mean? Some exam teachers not even teaching anything in class.
What you saying, boy? Always a back issue.
Well, I don't know why, but it does not come into class.
That's because you'll feel that because you're leaving, you'll want to do what you want. Maybe they fed up just like you. And how you know they're not coming to class when you yourself not even at school?
I know.
Here's the thing, Ashton. This is your life. You need to know what you want out of it.
I know what I want. I want to go and meet mommy.
You want to go and meet mommy? But you still have to qualify yourself here. Things not easy up there in America, you know.
But I can still change my interest when I get up there.
Boy, you cannot be playing truants and expect to succeed at what you do. What you do at school will reflect later in your life.
You say that?
Yes, sir.
What is truant?
Well, you see, you don't even know what the word means.
Guy, you think I'm stupid or what?
No, I did not say that. Neither do I think that you are stupid.
So why are you on my back like that?
It's just that you have been skipping school too many times, Ashton. And you know that time and tide waits for no man. Pull up your socks and start working. Or else you will only dream about America. And God helps those who help themselves.
Huh. Look at that one, sis. The Bible not saying that.
Wow. I see somebody has been making acquaintances with the good book.
Oh, talking about the good book, Mary. Shouldn't you be paying close attention to the good book, especially as you always in church?
What are you saying, my brother?
Well, don't get me wrong. But for all those years you're in church, you not a nun. I mean, I never saw you with no man. So,
What?
no offense. But you into women. You undercover.
Who, me? No. And no offense taken.
For true. So, why you...
You want to ask me why I have no man? Nobody.
That right there.
Simple, bro. I choose to remain that way.
For real?
Yeah.
Why?
It's a long story. But you want the long or the short version?
The short, please.
Okay.
All essay. Let's go. Tell me.
Bro, as you know, we have different fathers, right?
Yeah.
Mine died before you were born. He was real nice to our mother, but had some serious issues.
Alright.
First, he was married to another woman, and he used to beat her, abuse her silly, because he always wanted to be with mommy, the love of his life. All what he did to leave that woman, he could not. So he beat her.
Ooh, I would not want to be in that position. To be in love with one woman and married to another? Ow.
Well, in my eyes, as a young girl, he seemed like the perfect man. I wanted the perfect man. And I realized that none existed, so I married the most perfect person I know. Jesus.
Jesus? Married to Jesus? Woman, you tripping?
Yep. Best thing I've ever done. All my desires are channeled to the work of Christ and my calling.
Oh, juice. So I want to have children. You don't have feelings?
Of course I have feelings. I just put them under control of my Lord and Savior, Jesus.
Messiah?
It is a struggle sometimes. But prayer helps.
So, why you had Al come to our house and spend so much time with him?
How did you know that?
Word gets around.
Oh well.
So, how you have a man over, nobody around, and nothing?
Oh, it is not like that.
Real?
Yeah. It's like this. I am called to heal the brokenhearted and set the captives free.
You must be Jesus.
Nah. If anyone comes to me for help, I will gladly oblige. And that is exactly what I did with Al. He needed someone to talk to, and I gladly volunteered. It is my Christian duty.
But sis, that Christianity thing you're talking about, why you're not getting married? For real. Even I does get on me sometimes, but I...
You're so nasty, bro. Take your time. Take your time.
Gwen, please stay.
So what is this? You're making corplo against me, huh?
Lincoln, you know that's not true. That's not true. Man, just calm down before you do something stupid.
Now you want to tell me how to run my house?
Lincoln, man, you're not thinking straight.
So now I was not thinking straight. Of course I'm not thinking straight. Huh? To see how you played as if, you're the man of the house in my house.
Lincoln, just stop.
Lincoln, stop? Lincoln, stop? No! I'm not stopping! You're not seeing what I'm Jack trying to do? Huh?
But you're not making any sense there now, Lincoln.
Oh, of course.
None whatsoever.
Of course I will not make sense. Because that blasted Mama Gaia getting under your skin. Huh? All the time he playing as if he's my friend. But he eyeing my property all the time.
Lincoln, what property you have I eyeing, boss man? What I eyeing?
You really think I blind, huh? You playing as if you ain't want woman, is gay, you gay, when all the time is my Cynthia who lack a veille.
Lincoln, stop. All right? You're going a little too far now.
I going too far? Well, you have gone too far. And now you're visiting without permission.
Oh?
My house, my wife, my children. They are mine, Owen. Mine. Why yours? Huh? Huh?
Lincoln, you just got out of the hospital. It will be better for you to calm yourself and check yourself.
This is my house, and I command you to leave. You are trespassing on private property.
Lincoln.
This is my house, and I say you need to leave now, Owen.
Lincoln. Owen will be helping us out because you are not so strong yet. Please try and relax yourself.
Relax?
Yes,
Cynthia,
try.
Listen to her.
Relax. You're not seeing what happening there.
Baby, come on, just listen. You're probably still in shock.
Don't touch me!
Lincoln! Cynthia! Man, you crossed the line.
Owen, you and your poodle outside need to leave my premises now!
We are not leaving, Lincoln. In fact, you need to calm down now.
I told you. I would.
No.
I
Cynthia.
I fix you up.
Cynthia, get up.
You made me do it.
Lincoln, stay put. I do not want to hurt you. John, come.
So
cuff him.
So you
Cynthia, you okay?
arresting me now? You arresting me, Gaza? We supposed to be partners. Gaza, you're messing me up, Gaza. You're really messing me up.
Cynthia, come here.
Cynthia!
Lincoln, you accosted your wife in front of me. An upholder, an officer, an enforcer of the law. What do you expect me to do, huh? Our partner?
My wife, baby.
Come over here, Cynthia.
Let me go, Owen. We are partners, man.
Of course, we are partners. But I have to protect you from yourself now. Cynthia, come over here.
But Gaza, take them things over, Gaza.
Then, brother man, you should have known this before you choose to hurt your wife.
Owen, God. John, drop me, man. You don't know. You don't know who I am. I'm Sergeant 44.
Yeah.
No man can touch me.
Yeah, we know, man, Link. Sakapezi, sasi an kwevche, man. Kwevche.
Let me go, man. Cynthia!
I'm sorry, Lincoln. I'm sorry. I love you so much.
Lincoln Gas. I've known you for so long, man, and you've been doing this for as long as I have known you. It's time to stop, man. I tell you already, you cannot continue like this, man.
Please, God.
Cynthia, come over here.
Please.
Take him away, John.
Owen, please, Cynthia.
Owen.
Cynthia.
I'm sorry, Lincoln. I'm so sorry.
Come on, Sissy. Come, Sissy. Come. It's okay, Sissy. It's going to be okay. You're doing the right thing, Cynthia. You do deserve some form of happiness in your life, not this.
Well, you think I finished, huh? I must in all of your tale na pete court so slow when fini when I come back.
And that was it, folks. Episode 15 of I Write. And I told you, I was telling you all along. Just like Lincoln was saying, yes, I'm at toujours these. Right, I was telling you all along, and it was ho, and it was show. Ite ho, ite show. Of course, I want to say good evening and welcome to. I can't say my guest, but I have to say co-host. You know, I can't say guest, but yes. I want to say good evening to you, Della. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
Hold on,
Good
let me just
evening
fix
to
something there for
everybody.
you very quickly. There. Right. Let me say that. Let's do that again. Yes. Good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening, Roger, and good evening to everybody. I'm doing fine.
All
thank
right.
you.
All right. Don't forget, folks. The number to call. Of course, it's 458-2488, and of course, you could always hit us up on our WhatsApp platform. Of course, you could call on WhatsApp, or you could leave messages at 489-4781, and of course, also on Facebook at our Caribbean. You could check us out on Caribbean Hits FM, and of course, you could if you don't already have it, download the Hits FM app, and of course, you could have us everywhere you go. You could listen to I Write even if you in a disco. Yes. Okay, so let's do a little recap of what happened on tonight's show. Well, Lincoln comes home to find the police at his home. When he walks in, he finds Owen, Cynthia, and Eve talking. As usual, in Lincoln style and fashion, he gets vexed. An argument ensues, and of course, he gets violent. Okay, now let's move forward a little bit. Mariage is having a conversation with Ashton. He's curious as to why he has never seen her with a man or in a relationship. Mariage explains that she is married to God. They continue talking, and Mariage tells him a little bit about her father. Now Lincoln, back to Lincoln again. He continues to argue with Owen and Cynthia. Now he suspects Owen and Cynthia's closeness and accuses Owen of wanting his wife. He gets angrier and more violent until Owen eventually has to arrest Lincoln because of that. Now, folks, let me give you the numbers again. 458-2488. I'm going to give you a lot of time to call in and to make your contributions and your comments. Of course, the WhatsApp platform, 489-4781. And, of course, you could either call in on our WhatsApp or leave a message. And, of course, Facebook at Caribbean Hits FM. Now, let's deal with this Lincoln thing. And there are so many things happening there. First of all, I'd like to jump on Owen. I think Owen did a wonderful job. I think, many times in our society, just because you are friends with certain people in authority, you feel you could get away with whatever you're doing. Well, Owen stood up and he said, look, man, not because you're a sergeant and I'm your friend that you think you're going to get away with what you're doing. I've known that you've been doing that for a long time. I can kind of play devil's advocate and kind of turn against Owen there too, because he knew for a long time. But the point is, enough was enough. And Owen had to do something because in his presence as an officer trying to, find another way, maybe he just came to speak to Cynthia and Lincoln and try to get them to see reason. They had to get Lincoln to see reason. Lincoln don't want to hear nothing. He attacks Eve. He wants Eve out of his home. He attacks Cynthia. He accuses Owen of having something with his wife. That's how demented he got. That's how I see it. He got so demented that everything is now against him. Everything is against him. Well, Owen wasn't having it. You get so violent. You hitting your wife in the presence of an officer, notwithstanding that he's your friend. The presence of an officer, and you expect the man to just, turn a blind eye.
But it happens.
Yes, it does happen.
Unfortunately.
It happens a lot in our society. It happens a lot in St. Lucia. And I think that's a lesson to a lot of people out there. Those of you who are listening. Okay?
The interesting thing about, I would say our laws is that without a complainant and also without a witness, it is very difficult to take any of these things to court or charge anybody or that kind of thing. The victim first must be willing to make a statement, must be willing to call the police, must be willing to follow through with the whole situation.
Agreed.
What made it possible for Owen to take a stand in that moment was that it happened in front of him.
Yes.
And not just as an officer of the law, but also as a witness to what happened.
I think also you have to take into consideration that he was a friend of both of them.
Yes.
And he did not use the fact that Lincoln was his colleague, and of course working in the same thing. He had to kind of balance it and use a lot of discernment there. And of course I believe he acted right when he said, look, enough is enough. You have to stop that nonsense. I have known you long enough, and for as long as I've known you, you're beating your wife.
But to take into consideration also, Owen is in love with Cynthia.
Yeah. But,
right?
Yes.
But he was a true friend throughout all of it, a true friend to both of them.
Yes.
Throughout all of it. And he maintained integrity and respect throughout the entire situation.
I think that is...
And I think Lincoln just went too far that time.
Yes. I believe also, in our society that you have a lot of instances where the police do, have to deal with domestic violence cases. And they are not so, how would I say, down the middle, and straightforward when it comes to dealing with domestic violence issues. And sometimes, they, because of the friendship with the lady, they sometimes just take it on just because of the lady. And of course, that sometimes leads elsewhere. It does happen. In this case, I have to commend Owen, even if he is in love with Cynthia.
Yes.
But he used the fact that he was both of their friends. And I think that was very, very, very commendable.
The other thing this situation brings out very clearly is police officers are human too. And they have their own situations for them to deal with. And that poses challenges for them as well. But as anything else, like with doctors and with teachers, while we do take into consideration that they are human too, they also are held to a higher standard.
Yes.
Fortunately or unfortunately, however, which way you look at it, but they are held to a higher standard, and so they need to behave in that manner. And unfortunately, as we have seen throughout the episodes of I Write, Lincoln has not maintained that at all.
The sad part of it is he's a sergeant in the police force. And, I don't think that I don't want to be wrong, but, in the presence of maybe a junior officer, I don't know if Owen is really and truly a junior officer, but he's a sergeant in the force. And you're doing that in front of an officer, a fellow officer? Come on.
But one thing that we have learned throughout the entire process of this is that it does not really matter what position you hold within society. It's what values you have.
Exactly.
And what you think is right or wrong. In his opinion, you remember he said it's his house, it's his wife, it's his children. So in his opinion, they are his to do with as he pleases. And if it means giving them a slap here, there, and everywhere, that's his value. So it doesn't matter that he's a sergeant in the police force, but his values state that it's okay to beat up on his wife. And so that is something that we need to look at very closely.
I think so.
What are the value system that we build within our society? And there are a lot of things that we seem to have come to the point where we say it's okay. And it certainly isn't. If we look at our laws, it certainly isn't. And even some of our laws, the way they're written, they're discriminatory to certain sectors of society.
I would agree.
And so we need to take all of these things into consideration.
I would agree. And they have certain sectors of society that use those laws and use those things very, 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 very well. And of course, to their advantage. And of course, we have a call coming in. Hello, good evening, good night. Welcome to the program. You're on the air.
Hi, good night.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am nice, great, wonderful, blessed, and all the rest. We are waiting. I was waiting with bated breath for your input on your favorite person, Lincoln.
Tonight.
Uh-oh.
Yes. Tonight, I was feeling so sorry. I was feeling so sorry for Lincoln.
Wow. You feeling sorry for Lincoln?
So, honestly, I was feeling sorry for Lincoln. Because the amount of hatred I heard in Lincoln's voice is not a joke.
That is true. That is very true.
Lincoln had a lot of hatred in his voice, and unfortunately, ignorance, a whole lot of ignorance in his voice. For a police, what is his rank? For a rank in police, he was very ignorant. Sergeant. I don't know if he's right. If he's right, they just write a sergeant rank for him, but he was really ignorant for a sergeant. What?
Yeah.
I don't know. They probably raffled him to sergeant, because for a sergeant to be so ignorant, a raffle that was there.
No, but
him as the mo.
No, but
so So yes, and when he heard who saved him, and Eve and this and that person, right?
Yes.
Eve, when he heard Eve giving CPR, he wanted to vomit his guts out. I feeling sorry for him. I feeling sorry for him.
I kind of agree, but caller, you know something. While feeling sorry for him, I think something. I think the right thing.
Kind of feel sorry. I just like as if nothing cannot change him. Like nothing cannot so.
I don't know. I'm still holding out. I'm still holding out hope for him. The fact that he's been he's going to have to answer for his wrongdoing, and of course as a police officer. They're not going to be very easy on Lincoln, because you know better. You're supposed to be upholding the law, and here you are breaking the law, and here you are breaking the law in front of police officers.
He's not showing nothing of that sort. He's not doing it like everything is like his way, and he's not willing to learn or willing to do anything. But I'm feeling sorry for Lincoln.
Well, I'm feeling sorry for him, but
they're trying to tell him he just came from the hospital and stuff. He's not saying that. He just had a heart attack. He's not saying nothing like that.
I think the little time that he's going to have to spend accounting for his sin, I think that might have a little effect on Lincoln, because for so many years, he's been bringing people into the station, and now he's being brought into the station. That has to have some kind of effect on the man, don't you think?
Effect? Well, easy for him to commit to whatever, if it's anger management or anything. If he's committed to it, well, something can happen. But
well, exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm leading into, because when you are hauled before the courts, and you have to account for your sin. It could go two ways. If Lincoln gets on the same way in front of the magistrate or the judge, well, they're just going to throw the book at him. But if he shows, some sort of remorse, and then he says, okay, well, I'm sorry. They're gonna say, look, you could say all the sorry you want, but you need help, and we are ordering you now to do this or to do that, or so on and so on and so on. So, in that kind of light, I think there is still a little hope for Lincoln. I'm still having the little flag and flying the little flag for Lincoln there.
But let me pick the caller's mind for a bit. But what do you think about Cynthia, though? Lincoln has just hit her in front of the police and in front of her daughter, and she's still telling him that she loves him, and she's still gonna be there and what have you. What do you think about Cynthia, and what sort of advice would you offer to all of the Cynthias that we have in St. Lucia around the world?
Okay. To the Cynthias, or if we have any other Cynthias, they are in love with their husband, even though the abuse, and it's clearly abuse. Try and get some help. There is help everywhere. There is professional help. Because you not want to go and the person is not professional, and you hear your business everywhere. So there is professional help available. So take advantage of it.
But caller, don't you also think that because of the fact that Cynthia has been traumatized for so many years in a relationship like that,
she's a customer already.
Yeah, well,
she's not even seeing it as that.
Right. Okay, but after she
as abuse.
Okay, she's not seeing it as abuse, but yes, you're saying that she should get help, she could get professional help and so on and so on. Do you think that after that professional help, that she should go back with Lincoln, go and live in the same house with Lincoln again, hoping that Lincoln will change? Do you think she should do that?
To me, because she went to speak to the pastor, the counselor, but was that enough? That's another thing. Does she learn anything? She was trying to get Lincoln in, but Lincoln never went in. So both of them are headstrong.
I understand. So, yes, but
both of them are headstrong.
For all the Cynthias out there,
ignorant. Lincoln full of hatred in his heart.
Yes.
Lincoln full of everything in his heart. Now the hatred, when you see you have hatred, it lines up with a lot of things.
That is why I'm asking you, do you think that Cynthia...
The person who helped him, his friend, he's seeing as if he wants Cynthia, he want to take over his house and want to take over his life with Cynthia. No.
Yeah, but darling, I'm asking the question, do you think... What advice would you give the Cynthias out there? The question has been asked. What advice would you give the Cynthias out there? Even after all the help, do you think Cynthia should go back there? No, but do you think Cynthia should go back there? I'm asking the question. I'm playing devil's advocate. Do you think Cynthia, after all the help, should go back to Lincoln?
But she'll go back. So
I don't know. I'm asking.
To know if to go back. She will go back.
But I'm asking you. Do you think she should?
25 years. I cannot tell. I cannot. If she does. If I give her advice and she's saying she loves her husband, she wants to go back with her husband. She wants to go back with her husband. I cannot tell her don't go back with her husband.
Okay.
Of course, we know she'll go back with her husband.
Okay then. All right.
Yes.
All right.
And I want to say something else about marriage, and she's talking about she's married to Jesus and all kind of things.
Yes.
So this is a true story. There was this man living by my house, and every Sunday she was going to church. Every Sunday, and there was once she was telling us she had to go and take out a fibroid inside of her. And but the man had a boyfriend.
Okay.
But it was a secret boyfriend. And 9 months later, the fibroid and a baby came out. So let me tell you, this nun's nothing easy. And that's a true story. The baby is now 18 years. The baby left school. The baby is 18 years now.
And you think
when the nuns tell you they fall in love with Jesus, some of them they genuine, some of them they are not.
So you think marriage is playing around with Ashton?
The way marriage speaking there, marriage has something else in the pipeline. The way marriage defending herself there, to me marriage on another level, to me the way she's speaking.
Now you're making me laugh. I didn't want to laugh. But
so honestly, the way marriage answering the question, like she was waiting for these answers for the questions. Marriage have something up her sleeve.
Okay.
But caller, she did say that she's heard the rumors, and in her defense, we do have that tendency in our society. If we don't see a man with a woman, we automatically ascribe sexuality to him. Or if we don't see a woman with a man, we automatically say, you know what, I think she's into women. We do that, and we do make those judgments. So maybe in her head, people have been making those judgments, and so she's just ready with an answer.
Yes, there are some people who are very private, and sometimes privacy falls into that. But some of them no way.
Okay.
Nothing cannot happen. Yes. Bye.
Okay then. Bye. Okay. Wow. That was.
But
that lady is really.
Yeah, she's faithful to her I write.
Yes,
I must say
that.
Faithful to listening and faithful to following the story and making her contributions.
Oh, by the way, we have a number so that we're going to be contacting her for that survey.
Okay.
Yes, and of course I'm putting it out there again. Do you want to make the program better? Are you a regular listener? We would love to hear what you have to say. So just send your number to 489-4781. Of course, we're going to contact you. We're going to drop that survey, and you're going to give us the answers, how you feel, what you think, and all that. I want to get back to the situation with Cynthia. And I have my little thing to say on that. While Owen has diffused the situation and Lincoln is now going to have to account for him, I believe Cynthia, yes, should seek the help. I also believe Cynthia should move on with her life. You have been taking that, that's just I'm just playing the devil's advocate here. You have been in a relationship that has been torrid and abusive for so many years. Okay? Yes, you love your husband. I think that is the block there for her to actually stand up and say, I am not taking this anymore. I think it has to do with probably her demeanor. That's how she is. Very timid person and so on. And just for so many years has just been taking it and almost probably thinking, well, that's okay. And now she's getting a chance to get out of that and to get some help. That's my humble view. I do not think Cynthia should go back into that. I'm sending the message out to all the Cynthias out there. You need to love yourself more than you love the person. You have to love yourself. I've always said that a dead man cannot help a dying man. You want to help Lincoln, he's your husband, you said for better or for worse. But if you're in a worse situation than Lincoln, how can you help him?
But Roger, let me give you a little bit of information. First of all, it says that you have to attempt to leave somebody 7 times before you leave them, eh? That's what.
I agree with that.
That's what. It says you will make at least 7 attempts to walk out of a relationship before you actually finally walk out of the relationship. That's one. Secondly, we need to understand the psychological trauma that domestic violence victims suffer, be it female or male. And I maybe want to think that it might be worse for a man because men supposed to be so macho and everything else, and then to admit that when you go home, your woman beating you, that just something else. The psychological breakdown and the process that you go through when you are a domestic violence victim, it is very, very difficult for you to get up one day and say, you know what, I am better than this. Because it's a process of demeaning and breakdown of you knowing and understanding who you are. And being able to stand for yourself, being able to see yourself as valuable and worthy so that you now can take that stand for yourself. And what we have learned throughout doing the process of I Write is that it is very important for these persons to have support systems. Without a strong support system, they're going anyway.
That is very true.
And even with the support system, it is still very difficult to get them to make that decision and to see their situation for what it is, and then for them to stand up and say,
let me just ask
I
a
want to
question.
walk away.
Do you think that, it has to be a case where they have to, they have to make that choice.
Yes, well, it has to come from them.
It has to come from them.
It cannot come from outside. It has to come from inside. They need to be the one to decide, you know what? I've taken enough. This is where this is at for me, and I need to walk away from this situation. And until they get to that point, you can preach Paul, nothing will happen. But in this, I also want to give a hotline, the 202 hotline.
202.
This hotline is for the gender relations. It's for you, a victim of domestic violence. You
whether it's male or female?
Whether it's male or female.
Oh, very good.
You dealing with a difficult situation in your home. You call the 202 hotline, and there is somebody there who will help you to deal with your situation.
Folks, listen to it. Listen.
Okay.
I'm going to say it again. The number is 202. Call 202 if you are in a domestic abuse situation, and it is for men and women.
Right. It does not matter what your gender is.
Yeah, let me say it like this again. It is for men and women. Okay? Women will use the number. Men will be afraid. They will not want to use it. They don't want people to know their business. The macho thing will come in. But partner, am I speaking to somebody tonight? Partner, call the number.
Yes, and we need to understand. Yes, we see our friends and we talk to our friends and we listen to the drama and we say, Cynthia, she don't see that she have to leave that man. Mm-hmm. All well and good. Yes, she does.
But the process,
for her well-being and for saving her life. Yes. Because the last time he beat her unconscious.
And look, here's the point. Here's the point. Owen had to see that the injury to Cynthia,
that was when he became unconscious. Up to now, it cannot heal yet.
Yeah.
So for saving her own life, she needs to take that stand. However, the psychological damage that she has suffered, it will make it a challenge for her to do that. We know of educated women, bachelors, masters, PhDs, who are in abusive relationships.
Yes.
Because we have women who are in managerial positions. They come to work and they run an entire department, and then when they go home, it's a different story. Because it's a vicious cycle, and it's one that we need to understand, one that we need to stop doing victim shaming in, and we need to offer more support to the victims, be it male or female,
yes,
and offer them that support so that they can reverse some of the psychological damage and now take a stand for themselves.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think it is I mean, for a man, yes, it is difficult for him to admit that he's in a domestic abusive, in a relationship that's just abusive. Do you think the process of healing is any different for a man as per a woman?
Is the process of grief any different for a man as opposed to a woman?
I don't think so, but I had to throw the question out there. Somebody maybe asking, they don't want to ask, so I ask for them.
No,
I do not think it's different, but
I don't think it's different either.
I don't think it's different, but some people may think, I say, no.
Understood.
I don't want to go through that, nothing, but it is the same. The same way a man cry, a woman crying too. Same way a woman cry, a man crying.
Pain is pain.
Pain is
Hurt
pain.
is hurt.
No matter how you look at it, But I am very happy that Cynthia and Lincoln has a friend like Owen. Although Owen trying to move on the man girlfriend.
Well, that happens,
I just had to throw that one in there.
Come on. We're human and it's real.
Yes.
That happens.
It happens, yes.
But it's we have to applaud Owen for the position that he took.
Yes.
He respected the friendship,
yes,
and he chose to remain friends and remain on the outside and just be a good friend to both of them, or attempt to be a good friend to both of them.
The other thing too is Owen really did try to get Lincoln to behave himself. Calm yourself. I'm here to. I don't think he was going to be arrested. I think that they were going to talk to him and tell him that he needs to get help.
Well, I think that's what Owen intended.
But
he took it a step too far.
Lincoln took it a step too far. Are you hitting your wife
in front
the
of the
person
police.
who's already been abused. The lady have an injury to her face, and you hitting the woman in front of a police officer. Yeah, no.
But
That
I
is
want
ignorance on a whole different level.
I want to agree with the first caller. Lincoln does have, I don't know if it's I don't want to say it's hatred. I want to think that it is disappointment that has festered for so long,
yes.
that it is coming out with such anger and hatred.
Yes.
I want to think that he had all of these dreams and hopes and aspirations for his daughter as a young lady growing up into a woman, and in her being who she is, it has kind of thrown him off
I
a
think that
little,
is very sad.
and so his disappointment is manifesting in a very, very challenging way for him. But it is something that happens within families.
Yes,
You hear, unfortunately, the young boy who took his life in Denry. His mother said, "I had a son. I gave birth to a son."
Yes.
You know, and it was a challenge for her coming to that realization and understanding that. And unfortunately, she never got there. And her son had time to take his life because he felt so alone. We are now in the process where we're doing our youth engagement, our community engagement, and our street theater. And we were in Ancillary on Saturday. And the youth group, the theater group who was performing in Ancillary on Saturday, they performed the poem that he wrote just before he took his life. They did it to music and dance.
Very good, very good.
And it was very interesting after to hear the comments from some of the persons within the community and persons who were actually saying, you know what, it's about time that, you know, we come to realize that these are our children. And yes, however it is, they have grown to be or the choices they have made, at the end of the day, it is still our children, and we need to love our children for who they are.
Yes.
Or else we will continue losing them.
Yes.
And this afternoon, we were in Constitution Park, and we presented again, you know, street theater through dance and drama and spoken word. And one of the pieces that was done by a young gay gentleman, and he danced with the rainbow flag, and there was somebody in the crowd who was booing him, you know. But the beautiful thing is the rest of the crowd were very engaged, and they enjoyed what they saw being presented by him, and they understood what was being presented by the group of young people who were there. So it's while I think we are still a long way off, I think we are slowly making strides to understand that everybody is entitled to make their choices, and that we need to be very careful when it comes to the topic of human rights and being open to understanding that everybody has a right and everybody has a right to choose.
Exactly. I'm very heartened at the fact that you know, performing in Constitution Park.
Yeah.
And, you know, it is very sad that the one person who was booing could not, you know, join the rest of the crowd and you know, take in what was happening and probably learn from it and probably adjust his or her attitude. That's very sad, but I'm very heartened to know that in the middle of town, Constitution Park, where, you know, a lot of things are being discussed, that people kind of took it on board and stopped and looked and, you know, was very interested in what was happening and was kind of accepting, you know, what was happening there. If to say so, I think that was a good thing.
But I think it's also a matter of creating safe spaces for everybody.
Yes.
And I think the young people that we took this afternoon and that we will continue to work with feel safe and protected. They know that they are going to be dealing with some sensitive issues, but they also know that they are or they will be protected in whatever it is they are presenting. And that is very, very important, because we don't create safe spaces for our children, and not just our children, but for people on a whole. Yes. We're not comfortable to say how we feel. We're not comfortable to say what we think, because we feel that we're going to be attacked and we're going to be ostracized.
Yeah, it's almost as if it's a bad thing for you to say or to speak up.
And to be yourself.
And to be yourself.
And it is very important for us to understand that we need to give people the opportunity to be who they are, and to be open and honest about how they feel and what they think.
Yes.
You know, and creating these safe spaces where people can be who they are, where a parent can say, I am having a challenge with my child's choice and I need help, is an important thing.
That is a big thing. I think that's a big, that is by far the biggest issue that we have. Where people can say, I have a problem with that and I want to find a way to deal with it.
When a man can come and say, I am dealing with some challenges at home and I need help. Feeling comfortable and feeling safe enough to make those acclamations and know that you are not going to be laughed at, you're not going to be judged, and you're not going to be, thrown out the door having to figure it out on your own is very, very important for our society right now.
Okay, we're quickly running out of time, but let's kind of a recap again. Well, Lincoln came home to find the police at his house, and of course he was livid with rage. He walks in, he finds Owen, his good friend, Cynthia and Eve talking. The fact that Eve was there kind of ticked him off. He starts to argue, and of course Lincoln again gets violent. With Mariage having a conversation with Ashton, Ashton is poking her and prodding her, and, but, and with Ashton there, needing to do his homework, needing to get serious about his CSEC exams and so on. And Mariage is telling him, look, man, you need to, there are so many benefits and there are pros and cons and so on. And Ashton saying he's curious to why he's never seen her with a man or in a relationship. Mariage explains that she's married to God. And of course they continue talking, and Mariage tells him a little bit about her father and son. Lincoln continues to argue with Owen and Cynthia, accusing Owen of wanting his wife, wanting his home, wanting his children, wanting his everything. Again, living with rich, and the rich builds and builds and builds until he hits Cynthia again, but this time in the presence of law enforcement, in presence of a law enforcement officer. Okay, giving or putting Owen in a situation where he has no choice but to take Lincoln into custody. And poor job Lincoln, I say poor job Lincoln, not in a poor job kind of way, but Lincoln is now crying and, oh, Cynthia this, and he's crying, no. Okay? He gets angry, he gets more violent. Owen has had enough, and he arrests Lincoln. Of course, this has been iRight. I just want to ask Della if there's any parting words for our listeners.
I'll say we are each other's keeper, as much as we don't think it, but we are. We live in on an island that is 27 miles long,
14 miles wide.
It's very, very hard not to run into somebody. Yeah. A lot of the time you travel and people say, I know so and so from Selensha. Do you know that person? And sometimes you actually know the person, you know. And we are each other's keeper. And if we stand with each other, and if we continue to support each other, we'll have a better solution, a better society.
Okay. For me, it is if you see something happening and you don't do anything, you in it too. Okay? Speak up. You see something that is wrong, it's even more. That's how, is that proper English? It is even more wrong for you not to say anything or do anything about it. Speak up. I want to thank each and every one of you for participating in whatever way that you could, even just by listening and taking it all in. Of course, God's willing, we shall see you next Monday for another exciting episode and, of course, discourse of iRight. Good night to you, everybody.
crazy. I cannot deal with this.
With bien fait, I write.
I just can't with all of these responsibilities.
Every Monday.
I hear the two. And you perpetuating them kind of nastiness.
St. Lucia's latest hot radio drama.
The